Today we have a 2013 Ram 1500, and we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install this BAKFlip MX4 Hard Tonneau cover for Rams with a Rambox. Not only is this cover going to do a great job of protecting the inside of your truck bed and any cargo you have on the inside from the elements, but it's also going to accommodate for our Rambox. So whether the cover is closed like it is now, or if you have it open, you're going to be able to open up your Rambox and access it without interfering with the cover. Another great feature about this cover, unlike some other ones, is that you're going to be able to open and close your cover whether the tailgate's open or closed. We can open it up, close the tailgate, and then close our cover, or we can just close our tailgate right here. You can access it from either side of the pickup. You just pull down on this cable, which pulls out on the latch, and then you can open up your cover. It has 4 aircraft-grade aluminum panels that you can fold up to gain access to your truck bed. We have a latch right here. We're going to pull down to lift it up. We can stop right here and then use these buckles to secure it down, and that will allow us to drive with the cover in this position. If we wanted more access to our bed, we can travel with it leaned up against the cab of our pickup. And we do have those foam bumpers right there that'll lean up against the cab, protecting the back windshield. Then we can take these prop rods and install them right here. We'll push down on that and then tighten that down. And that's going to prevent the cover from folding down, and we can travel with it in this position. The cover has a nice low profile design which gives it a sleek look. It sits flush with your side rails, and then on the tailgate, it only sits about 1/4 of an inch off the top of it. Now the cover itself doesn't have any type of locking mechanism, but when you pair it with your locking tailgate, it's going to provide full bed security. So you can rest assured that the contents on the inside are going to stay safe. It's an easy no-drill installation. We'll go ahead and show you how to do that now. Before we can install the cover, we're going to have to remove the end cap and the tie-down points that are in the rails of our Rambox. We'll have to do this on both sides. You just have to loosen up the little hand knob on the inside, and then it'll slide out. Now we're going to install the seal on top of our side rails. The seal is going to go on the inner part right on top right there. So we'll just start by peeling off the backing just a little bit. We just want to start with a little bit at first. Go ahead and make sure we push it up against the bulkhead before we apply it, and apply some pressure, and then slowly peel it back and apply the adhesive to the side rail as you go. When you get to the end, you can just cut off the excess. Now we found that a pair of scissors isn't quite strong enough because of the plastic piece that's on there, so we're going to just take a pair of diagonals and cut it off. Now we're going to install our mounting plates into our side rails. You want to make sure you get both of the plates on the inside and your washers on the outside. So just like that. And then we're going to move it all the way to the front. Now we're going to take the plate with the slotted cover. We're going to slide it onto the bolts, making sure the washers are still on the outside. Then before we start to tighten it down, we're going to push it all the way forward against the bulkhead, and then make sure we line it up and make it level with our seal. Once you do that, you can start to hand tighten them. Then once you have them both hand tightened, you can take a 13mm or 1/2 inch socket or wrench and tighten it down the rest of the way. Now per our instructions, we're going to reinstall our tie-down point next. Keep in mind that if you want this closer to the tailgate, you're going to want to wait to install it after we put the next bracket in. Now we'll install our next mounting bracket. And then per our instructions, because this is going to hold the prop rod plate, we're going to measure about 17 inches from the bulkhead. Doesn't have to be exact, just roughly. We're going to measure to the center of the plate, so between the 2 bolts, because that's where the section for the prop rod will sit. And that's about 17 inches. So now we'll take the plate, like so, and we'll hand tighten those bolts. Once you have them hand tightened, a socket won't fit in to tighten it, so we're going to take a wrench and then tighten it down the rest of the way. Now we're going to install our bulkhead seal. It's going to go on the same way that this seal did, but we want to make sure that it's on the edge of the bulkhead right next to our plates. So we're just going to peel off a little bit of the backing and then move your way across the bulkhead, making it as straight as possible. When you get to the end, just grab a pair of scissors and cut off the excess. Now we can set our cover into place. To do that, we're going to have to pull up on this part and then make sure we flip this little lip out. And we also need to remove these little covers to uncover the hole. Once you've done that, we can put the cover into position. Now the holes that are on the little lip are going to line up with the slots on our plate. So we're going to have to go a little farther. Just like that. Before we go any farther, we need to make sure that we installed the ends of our buckles. It's going to sit about right there where those two holes are. We're going to take first the ends with threads on the inside and pop it through from the bottom. Make sure you push it all the way up. We'll do the same for the other one. We'll set the buckle into place, making sure the open side is facing the cover. And then we'll set our two screws into place. Then taking a Phillips head screwdriver, we'll begin installing them. After you make sure that this lip right here is in line with the slotted plates, we're going to slide this flat bolt through like so. Make sure we get it through the slot in the plate, and we're going to do that for both sides. Once you have the two flat-headed bolts in their slots, we're just going to lift up on this side of the cover and it will sit just like that. Now we're going to take the remaining hardware and install it. We have a rubber washer followed by a flat washer and then a lock washer. And then we have the hand knob. We'll thread that on. And then we're just going to hand tighten it. We're not going to get it super tight, just till it's a bit snug, because we want to leave it a little bit loose in case we have to make any adjustments later. And we're going to do that for both sides. Now we're going to install the remaining hardware, making sure that we get the plates to line up with our latches right here. So we're just going to bring it down a little bit, get a rough idea of where it's at. So about right here. Fold it back up. So it's going to be right next to the prop rod bracket. Go all the way. I'm going to take our plate and slide it on from the top. And you just continue this process for all of the remaining brackets. Just don't forget to replace your tie-down points before you put the last bracket on. Before we tighten down our last bracket, we need to make sure that we install our drain end caps. We're going to tear the adhesion strips from the inside, just like that. Once we do that, drain cup's going to sit right here. It's going to slide up right here. You want to make sure it's in line with the back of the end cap of the truck bed. And once you get in line, we're going to push up on it and let that adhesion stick to the bottom of the rail. Now once we do that, we can slide our rail over. We'll double check our cover to make sure it lines up. And it does, so we'll bring that like so. And then we'll tighten it down the rest of the way like we did the other brackets. With all the brackets installed, we're going to close our cover. And then we're going to shut our tailgate to make sure it's lined up properly. Our tailgate shuts, our cover's in place, so we're good right there. Now what we're going to do is open up the tailgate, and then we're going to carefully pull the latches and flip the cover all the way to the front, and then we're going to tighten down fully those hand knobs that were holding the flat plugs. Now we're back here at the front so we can install our other train cups. We had to loosen these bolts right here so we can fit it through that slot. This is going to go through right there. May need to pull back on this to fit it through. Once you get it through, push up and towards the bulkhead so the adhesive on both of those sides will stick. And then once you get that done, just tighten back up those bolts. Now we can install the tube. First we're going to go on the top end right here. Just feed that on. Then we're going to go through this hole right here. And because the hole's big enough, we're going to go ahead and push the excess of the hose through the hole so that it takes up as little space as possible. And we're going to do that at each corner of the bed. Now we can put our prop rods into place. Just going to feed on to there. Just got to clamp it on. There we go. Make sure that it fits right. Feeds right there. And there we go. And we're going to do that for both sides. Now we're going to install a clip that's going to hold our prop rod while it's not in use. The Rambox is going to be equipped with these little pieces right here, little slots. Sometimes you might find that the bolt doesn't fit all the way through, like right there. So you may need to take a file and file down one side so it goes all the way through. But we'll take the bolt and put it all the way through, right there. Then we'll take a lock washer and a nut and we'll thread it on. Once we thread it all the way on, we'll tighten it up. We have a safe spot to put our prop rod. To make sure our back window stays intact, we're going to install these foam bumpers right here on this part of our cover. So we're just going to push it up against the window softly, find the spots where it makes contact. We have two different spots. It's going to be right here and here. If your Ram doesn't have a sliding back window like this one does, then it'll probably make contact in the middle, and you have a third bumper for that purpose. But for now, we're just going to use two of them. Just peel the backing off. We're going to apply it right here. With your cover all the way up, your back window's protected. When you've done all that, you're ready to close up your cover and then hit the road. Other than that, that'll do it for our look at the BAKFlip MX4 Hard Tonneau cover on our 2013 Ram 1500.